Oh boy. Let's invite a bunch of people. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know how we do. Just inviting people, you know what I mean? Anybody that going through any type of a thing, this is a safe place for you to be. Yes, sir. Please, everybody, share this. Invite people. Add this to groups. Won't. This is our safe place to discuss any type of issues involving addiction, recovery, any personal problems, all that. You know what I mean? This is the forum to do so. If y'all don't know, recently Avocado, Kyle Gray, from the Ruin Your Day platform and the most seminal content creator in battle rap history, has celebrated 1 year of continuous sobriety, and he started a show on his Ruin Your Day network called Ruin Your Hour, where he basically discusses issues regarding recovery, etc. I've had a lifelong battle with chemical dependency. It's nothing new to me whatsoever. And he actually invited me on the show last Wednesday, and I told a lot of my story and talked to some of the people, and people were, particularly in regards to benzodiazepine dependency and anxiety and PTSD, and how all of these relate together and are basically a whole part of modern society, and a huge finesse move by the medical and big pharma industry. But that's a whole other topic. First and foremost, want to just talk about our personal issues and personally what I've gone through and what I continue to go through. Because I'm not, first of all, I want to let it be known that I'm not in the AA or NA program, although I do have a great deal of respect for it, and I have a lot of friends and family members that are in that. I'm not completely sober. I still smoke weed and drink, and I'm not perfect. I've struggled to get on and off drugs for over 20 years. I've been fucking around with chemicals and all that since I was 11, 12 years old in the early 90s, and it's been an ongoing struggle for me. I've been institutionalized. I was several times, went to juvie and rehab for the first time when I was 16, was arrested for the first time when I was 12, and I've been going through it ever since then, on and off. There's anyone that's been paying attention to my career since the whole hip-hop thing and battle rap popped off for me, particularly in the YouTube era, has seen the ebb and flow, and different moments where I'm healthier than others. And I just wanted to speak candidly about my struggles, my issues, and you're hearing it from someone that's not already gotten through this, but is in the midst of currently dealing with these issues. I want to also let y'all know that I decided to create this community and do these lives because when I was on Avocado's show, I said anybody that wants to chop it up or has issues or is feeling suicidal or is struggling with these type of issues or any issue, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Anybody that's been a fan slash supporter of mine for years knows that I've always been very open to talking to, even if I've never met you before, I'll spend hours talking to people. But I know a lot of people, I wanted to create this place for everybody to come together and all of us discuss these issues together. And if you actually happen to have something you want to discuss or a question you want me to address, but you want to remain anonymous, that's also totally cool. You can hit me up anonymously and I will address your question and obviously not put you on blast. What's up, my cousin on here, Shaslin Marie? So there's a lot of different drug addictions and drug dependencies and reasons why people fall into these patterns. The line becomes even more blurred when it's legally prescribed medication and which has legitimate medical applications. Me, I've been addicted to all kinds of drugs and been treated for all different types of dependencies. My demon for the past several years has been benzodiazepines, which is a classification of drugs that y'all might not know what that is, but y'all definitely know what Xanax is. Xanibars, Valium, Ativan, Klonopin, all of these are in the benzodiazepine category. People often think that Xanax are painkillers and Xanax is in the same category as drugs like Vicodin, Oxycontin, Percocets. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. That's a completely different type of drugs. Those are narcotics. Those are painkillers. Benzodiazepines is anxiety medication. It relates directly to anxiety, and I've been messing with that particular breed of drug for a long time now, but it's gotten a lot progressively worse, and I would say in around 2014 is when it became out of control and I became a daily user. Something that I want people to be aware of, that I spoke on Ruin Your Hour extensively, is that there's only two different kinds of drugs that have potentially fatal overdoses. There's only two drugs that you could actually, if you're addicted to and you stop taking cold turkey, can cause permanent neurological damage and or kill you, and that's alcohol and benzodiazepines. Now, yes, heroin withdrawal, opiate withdrawal is the most painful and is very, 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 very dangerous. However, it is not fatal. You will be sick as a motherfucking dog. You will feel like you're gonna die, but you cannot die by stopping using heroin. You cannot die by stopping using methamphetamine or cocaine or crack or anything like that. But benzodiazepines, since they directly affect your central nervous system, these are drugs that can literally kill you if you stop. You cannot cold turkey stop. I've attempted to do so several times, and people that do, oftentimes it leads to them having seizures. It leads to them, you could, even weeks later, it's all bad. So you have to wean yourself off, and I've tried to do it myself. That doesn't work either, because there's so many different factors that go into determining the amount that you are supposed to be taking and the length of time that it takes to get completely benzo free. So it needs to be done under a doctor's care. If you have insurance, look into that. If not, regardless, it's, you're talking about your life here. Yeah, withdrawal is definitely very, 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 very painful to watch, and even worse to experience. My initial Xanax addiction was greatly perpetuated around the time of my employment with Film On. At the time, things were going really well for me as far as my battle rap organization career. I was working with King of the Dot. We had a string of very successful events. Things were going well. And then when I had the opportunity to create a new platform and help myself and all the people that I've been working with for years attain a higher level of recognition and a higher level of professionalism and money, and started working for a big company in Beverly Hills, the pressure that led to, and working for a boss that was so erratic and would change his mind about, directions we were moving and things that was required of me. It became so overwhelming and stressful that I started indulging in that on a daily basis. I was also using Adderall and various stimulants to stay awake, to get more work done, kind of like a college kid cramming for exams, doing as much as I could, and then I would be awake and so amped up. The only way that I'd be able to calm down would be to take Xanax, and that would kind of created a deadly cocktail, and that was my everyday routine. And it only got worse, and as the event wound up having a lot of complications and created there's a lot of animosity within the battle rap community towards me and a lot of my colleagues towards me, and I was severely in debt, 6 figures in debt. That stress was only compounded and multiplied to the point where I felt the need to use it on it got completely out of control, and that's all that I was doing. And it only got worse from there. I wound up losing that job, and then had to resort to doing illegal activities, putting my freedom at risk in order to sustain the lifestyle that I created. I was recently married, so I was, taking care of myself and my wife. Had an expensive overhead, expensive rent, and a bunch of bills. And in order to deal with that stress, I started taking these drugs so much that the thing about Xanax is you kind of don't really realize how much it's affecting you, to the point where I was literally slowly becoming a person that wasn't me. My people that had known me for years, that had been around me, were like, who the fuck are you? Why are you acting like this? I was so much less of a caring person, of a thoughtful person, my morals were compromised to the point where I would do things that were outside of my moral compass and violated my integrity in order to continue to make money. And I didn't give a fuck. And one of the scary things is about this drug is when you attempt to get off of it, you start to kind of be confronted with the reality of what you have done and the shitstorm that you've left in your path, and all the people that you pissed off, and all the shady things that you've done. And then you kind of have to come to terms with not only the fact that you've done them, but you have to deal with them, and that creates an extra layer of stress, which makes you want to continue to use. So it's kind of a self-perpetuating, very difficult, very negative cycle. There's a lot of things that led I've been wanting to get clean for several years. Losing friendships, losing jobs, projects that I was working on going to the wayside and or not being done to their maximum capacity. All of these happened to me, as well as, I wound up losing multiple relationships, including getting a divorce, and obviously the stress of that made me just want to be less in touch with reality. And So all of these things were happening, and I was at the point where, I got evicted from multiple places that I was living in. I could no longer afford to pay the rent, and I wasn't prioritizing my necessities as a man, as a grown man, as an adult. My priority became using drugs and avoiding this pain and these issues. I felt like I couldn't even do the basic things I needed to unless I was fucked up. And then it got to the point where I literally was physically unable to get out of bed without that feeling, without at least having that in my system. And I realized that I couldn't cold turkey stop, because literally it's impossible. I started dating a new woman, my current girlfriend Marissa, who I'm absolutely in love with, and starting to be with her was one of the catalysts, because I realized there's no way that this relationship would last if I was continuing to live and operate in the capacity that I was, crippled by this addiction. I was making a lot of, I was pretty much at the point where I knew that I was going to die. There had been several incidents, me collapsing, me passing out, friends literally having to slap me in the face to wake me up because they didn't know if I was going to wake up or not. And then, and even when I was awake and quasi-functioning, I pride myself on being a witty person, a sharp person, somebody that has a lot to say. But I would look at footage of myself. I'd listen to the music that I made while under the influence. I would look back at footage of myself hosting events or, being on live. There's this one I remember time last year. I was on Watch on Avocado's show, and me, Avocado, and Saint were watching some battles, and literally I do not know who I was. It was literally like I would think a thought and then speak it 5 minutes later, and I thought I was talking like this, like at normal conversational pace, but when I look back, I was like talking like this, and like such a slurred, like despicable. It wasn't me, and it was really, really embarrassing. So all these things kind of came to a head, and I realized that I was losing everything I had. My relationship with my family had been completely deteriorated. My family didn't trust me, didn't want to really have me around, and so I went to a doctor, and realized that I needed to. I told him I was honest, and here's the most important thing when trying to deal with benzodiazepine dependency and anxiety is be honest with your doctor. If you're dishonest about your frequency of usage, why you use, where you're getting your drugs from, all that is going to wind up being counterproductive. Now, what I thought at first was I could go to the doctor. Since I'm so smart, I'm smarter than my addiction, I could look online, see, this is how you're supposed to wean yourself off of this to get sober. And I thought that everything would be okay. But, I thought I could get my drugs off the streets like I was before, and everything would be cool, and I wouldn't need to spend the money on a doctor in order to go through this process. But that's absolutely not true. The number one reason why is this: anytime you take pharmaceutical drugs not prescribed by a doctor off the streets, and now please don't think that I'm preaching to you in the slightest, because this is an ongoing issue for me. Like, I fall down, I fail all the time. I get back off the canvas. Anytime you fail, just know that, you can try again. And what I thought was that what you got to realize is when you get drugs off the street, you never really know what's in them, especially nowadays. There's most of y'all have heard of this drug called fentanyl, which is a variation of the heroin morphine family that people were originally cutting. It's for people in severe pain, like cancer patients on their deathbed. These are the type of people that are prescribed fentanyl. These are the actual medicinal applications for that drug. But once dealers, cartels, etc. got a hold of them, they started cutting other drugs with that. Started obviously cutting heroin with that, and even lean. I don't know if y'all ever encountered a type of lean from Mexico called Activisa, which is actually just liquid fentanyl and very dangerous. Fentanyl is so strong that even people that are heavy opiate users, it can kill you because it is the strongest, and people would start cutting other drugs with it because it would increase the likelihood of people getting addicted to these other drugs, because it's far more addictive than cocaine and other drugs like that. And also, downers like benzodiazepines, like Xanax, when you cut it with fentanyl and you take it, you might think that you're actually taking the real drug because it makes you tired the same way that Xanax does. But what happens is then you wake up, you haven't gotten the effects of the benzodiazepine, so you're more sick, and now you're sick because you're getting addicted to a whole other fucking drug. Just to keep things in perspective, people started to say that around the time of the Town Biz event, oh, you look so good, Lush, you're doing so much better. Wow, that was within a couple weeks of me starting my detox. And even in that short amount of time, I was drastically growing, changing, and getting healthier and improving as a person. However, it was still not even close to where I'm still in the midst of my detox, and I'm going through it under a doctor's regimen. I thought at one point that I could do it on my own, so I stopped going to the doctor, and that didn't work out, and I wound up setting myself back to the point where now it's going to take a couple more months than originally anticipated for me to be fully benzodiazepine free. Let me go over my notes because I had so much notes. There's so much I want to say, and I have to be done before 5 o'clock because I definitely am not trying to interfere with Ruin Your Hour, Avocado's platform. So go to www.youtube.com/ruinyourday at 5 o'clock to, check out his whole shindig. Oh, something else that was very a huge catalyst in my addiction, and something that I harbor a lot of guilt about, and I need to do something to make this right. But when I started being fully involved in music again in 2017, working with 667 Cult, shouts to my brothers, I released my album Above the Devil in March or April of last year, and I had for sale physical units of my album, but due to my drug addiction, I just, people would buy it. There are several hundred people that bought physical units of my album, which I never even got pressed up and I never sent out. So I owe hundreds of people who were my big fans and were supporting me and wanted to show love. I fucked them over, and for that I was a piece of shit for that, and I harbor so much resentment, and I'm going to make that right. However I have to, I will send that and additional content. I'm working on a bunch of new music, have put out other albums. It's been really difficult for me to get anything done. It's a miracle that I've even accomplished as much as I have, considering, but that's still no excuse. I'm still a fucking asshole for taking advantage of the people who support me and care about me the most. Now, obviously that wasn't intentional, but that doesn't excuse it either. and I harbor so much guilt. It bothers me on an almost daily basis. And please, if I owe you an album, please don't hesitate to hit me with an email, and I will make sure once they get pressed up. I'm not going to lie and say I know when that is, but that is going to happen. That's something that I feel very, very bad about. So much to talk about. I'm going to be doing this multiple times a week, if not at the very least weekly. This is something ongoing. Sorry, just trying to find my notes. And I will be doing questions and answers as well. Since then, by the way, one thing that a lot of people hit me up about that they're concerned is, they say that they're musicians and they believe that their drug use helps them with their creative process, and they have since hit a creative block and are not able to make music or create at the capacity they were once when they were sober. And I want to let you know that that's completely an illusion. That's all in your head. If anything, that shit makes it worse. That shit does not help nobody. You feel me? Like, it might make you think that you're killing it, but you're not. A very, very strong way to, beyond having a support system and other people to talk to, meditation, Reiki. You could look up guided meditations for anxiety online, listen to them, breathing exercises. All of these are very, 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 very important ways to cope with the cravings for these type of drugs. My dumb ass can't find my motherfucking notes. But whatever I don't get to this time, I will get to in future lives. And if I can't find them shortly, we will open up some questions and answers. Damn, I got so many fucking verses I've been writing since then that literally it's all like, I've got 30 songs to record. Alright. That's not the one from yesterday. Ooh, wrote a letter / song to my brother Cadillac that I'm excited for y'all to hear. That was actually one of the times I was trying to detox was when Caddy had passed, and that didn't turn out so good, to say the least. Oh, okay. Alright, yeah, I can't find these notes. I apologize for that little delay. Any questions that you have, any questions that anybody has, if you've already asked it and I missed it, ask again. I want to make sure that everybody gets addressed if possible. Much love to all of y'all. This isn't about me, this is about y'all. Yes, you got to be careful. There's no way to stop cold turkey off of benzodiazepines. You have to wean yourself off of that shit. Unless you want to have seizures or have permanent neurological damage that could kill you. Yeah, as somebody said above, she said she's on Clonopins and it had gone a few days without taking them and your body went into full muscle spasms. Yeah, don't do it. Anxiety, like I said, the best breathing is number one. Breathing is number one, and not dwelling on things that are beyond your control at any specific moment. Now, it's kind of like it's difficult because you don't want to ignore what you have to do and shirk responsibilities, but if it's not something that can be immediately dealt with, then do not allow it to consume you. Scrolling up. And just know that if I mess up, I will be candid about my slip-ups as well. That's right. You went through divorce too and fell hard. The divorce thing is tough. I think really the number one thing about going through divorce is realizing that divorce is a two-way street. And even if you feel like the majority of the issues were your fault, you cannot hold yourself solely accountable for that. And it does not make you or your former partner a bad person. It just means that y'all weren't right for each other. Now, what you have to do is not internalize that, not beat yourself up, and realize that divorce is actually, you're not a failure. You are now have an opportunity to improve yourself, be more in touch with yourself, and find somebody else who is a better partner for you. Now, I was single after my divorce for over a year before getting into a relationship, and that's a big part of it. Great point by Karina. Incredible point. You got to accept the feelings that come with anxiety too. And yes, you got to, as overwhelming as they are, you got to come in, realize what they're there for, and breathing. Really, that's what, it's funny because that's what drugs like benzodiazepines do. They don't remove your anxiety. They don't take the issues away. They just make you come to terms with it. But you have anything, any chemical or reaction that can be induced by drugs inside you already exists. It's already exists within your body, and you do not need drugs to get them out. Yes, obviously, to answer my man Pat's question, Marissa helps greatly with I'm blessed, and I'm blessed to have her. But if I didn't have the desire on my own to do this, then I wouldn't have even been able to have this relationship manifest itself to begin with. Yes, it's definitely a disease. It's definitely a disease, but that's also not an excuse. Like I remind myself that this is a disease, so I don't internalize it and make myself feel even worse. But at the same time, that's not an excuse to continue to poison myself. You know what I mean? Like you have to take accountability at a certain point and realize that it's within us. It's within all of us to fight these issues, to deal with this. I will be creating a platform. I'm not sure, beyond this, I'm not sure if it's going to be a Facebook group. Eventually, I'm going to be doing a website to discuss these issues. And if anybody has questions, like I said, that they want me to address on here, but they would like to remain anonymous, hit me in my inbox, and I will preserve your anonymity. I am not, once again, a part of the AA program. I am not 100% sober. I am under a doctor's care, weaning myself off of benzodiazepines. I no longer am on Xanax. I'm now on a less strong benzo that the doctor has prescribed me, that slowly over time will lead to me being completely done. Yes, CBD, someone asked, does CBD help cope with anxiety? Yes, CBD is a very, very, very advisable alternative. But I definitely, you can't just stop taking benzos and think that CBD is going to replace it and you'll be straight, because you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Although the use of CBD is extremely helpful in that regard. So I have about, what's up? I can't hear you. Direct dosage. Can you come over here and say? You don't have to get on camera, but can you say? Because Marissa right over here, so she got some info for us.
Yeah, hey guys, so if you're going to go the CBD route, make sure you consult with a naturopathic doctor or a homeopathic specialist. I worked at a naturopathic holistic health center with a naturopathic doctor for over 7 years, and I just can't stress that enough. Like if you want to try CBD, it's amazing, but you have to know the dosage for you. Like some people, or if you get it off of Amazon, you're not really gonna know. It's best to go somewhere and ask them to muscle test. That's the best way. And if they don't know how to muscle test, or they say, oh, just take whatever the bottle recommends, don't take it from them, because that's not really the recommendation of a true naturopathic doctor.
It's essentially the same thing as like, oh, I want to go skydiving without taking any classes or anything. Oh, yeah. I got a backpack. I think there's a parachute in here.
Yeah.
Or where's the plane I could jump out of?
Or going to Mexico for like butt implants or something. Like,
yeah, right.
People not really knowing what they're doing. But CBD actually is a really great, it helps with antidepressant and a slew of things, even helping with cancer. I can't say that it cures it, but it definitely helps it. And there's also something on naturesunshine.com called Anxious List, and that will help greatly.
Naturesunshine.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Important website for anybody dealing with anxiety.
Yep. You could get something called Anxious List, and together when you take those two things, it greatly helps. We've seen a lot of great case studies at the place that I work, so I hope that helps you guys.
Thank you, Marissa. Yeah, obviously, I'm kind of I hopped into this thing with loaded dice, clearly, because I have someone by my side who is quite familiar with these issues and can help me get the most out of my recovery. Yeah, so she knows what the fuck she's talking about. Remember, naturesunshine.com. That's a good site to check out. My cousin asked, is anxiety in the genes? I'm not sure. But I know that anxiety is very prevalent within several members of my family, so I wouldn't be surprised. And you're my cousin, and if you have it too, then it's got to be in there somewhere. There's definitely a lot of mental illness in our family. So, but yes, anxiety is, I think anxiety is just something that plagues society in general. Now, like I told y'all, Ruin Your Hour starts very soon, so I don't want to be on here for too much longer, although this seems like it was dope and people are enjoying it, so I will be doing this more frequently, perhaps even tomorrow, another time this week. To be honest, Dan, he said, is my anxiety reduced through the steps that I've taken? I still feel intense anxiety. I'm still going through it. Detoxing amplifies that anxiety. And then, like I said, once you start to become more aware of what you've neglected in life and what you need to deal with in life, that can induce even more anxiety. So it's a scary thing that I'm going through. But overall, I'm feeling less, what I feel is less of a slave to my anxiety. I don't feel like I am completely at the whim of my anxiety. I feel like I'm developing the tools to fight it. It's like, let's picture anxiety as a giant motherfucking bulletproof metallic dragon that breathes acid and fire. Now I've got a sword and a shield. So that makes it a little bit easier. Any final questions before we chill to the next episode? And trust me, I know it's bad to drink soda. So 33 is a trip, and you know what? 37 is too, going on 38 over here. And I wish that these are issues that I had addressed decades ago. I've been struggling with them since before a lot of y'all were born. I was first prescribed medication when I was 10, 11 years old, part of the whole Ritalin test subject baby generation. I've been taking drugs, smoking weed since I was around that same age. And it don't get better. It don't get better. I'm quite fortunate that I've been able to survive so long unscathed. And something that I addressed on Ruin Your Day, don't trip if you missed this, I will leave it up afterwards. Something that I addressed on Ruin Your Day is I would probably be in a lot worse shape if I didn't have multiple drug addictions, and when I would find myself getting too strung out on something, I would then often transition to another addiction. So it's not just one thing that was kicking my ass. That doesn't mean, hey, take all drugs. That's not what I'm implying whatsoever. My man Pat said, was admitted to the hospital 3 years ago for cardiac issues. The doctor said if you didn't show up to the hospital, you would have died. And anxiety's been trouble. You've been working on it personally. Hey, you're a soldier, you're a warrior, and I'm right here with you. And makes me kind of realize why you, in particular, why my music resonates so much with you. Because my music is the music of somebody that's completely consumed by anxiety and PTSD and the substances I use subsequently to deal with that. Now you're going to be noticing a great deal of change in my music and improvement in my music as a result of my detoxing and striving to be a healthier human being. So, final questions before we go. Everybody, it's about that time to head over to ruinyourday.com or youtube.com/ruinyourday. Congrats. That's great news, Lynn Marie. That's what's up. Pat, I got some new things. You know what? I might even shoot some of my Trill Jits, my biggest supporters, an email sneak preview of one of my new records, just so y'all can hear it, because I think it might be helpful. Coming from the perspective of someone dealing with the thralls of addiction and anxiety. All right. Final questions, because it's 4:55 now, Western time. You were a real one. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. I know it's the middle of the day. I'm going to try to do this again at a time zone that accommodates more people and we'll have more people involved. This is just literally, I'm kind of fleshing out the format as I go. Love you too. Much love to all of y'all. Final questions. Got time for one more. Shouts to everybody. Y'all mean so much to me. I really don't think that beyond just Marissa and having her, I don't think that if it wasn't for y'all and being able to have this community, I would be able to even be attempting to do what I'm doing. Well, nothing is more humbling than falling flat on your face several times. And suffice it to say, I've done that. Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a celebrity by any means, but I will use whatever voice and platform that I have to be a vessel and speak on these issues, as well as help continue the legacy and mission of my brother Cadillac, who was doing this as well through the AA and NA fellowship, which again I'm not a part of, but I have similar ambitions of helping people clean up their lifestyles in that regard. Much love, and I think we about to be out this. Stay tuned. If you got any continued questions, you could ask them in here, or you could hit my inbox on any of my social networks. Love y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Cult life or no life, fresh coast, fives up, and all that. Alright?